Welcome back, everyone. My name is Uhfgood, aka Keith, and we are constantly going in through the different modes, and we're trying to figure out the interface of 2.80 by looking at an old wiki book, um, and seeing what the differences are and seeing if we can find the equivalent. I'm going to go ahead and reset this and restart this. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do this and start it. And then we're going to hide that temporarily. And then I'm going to go ahead and see something here. Hey, this makes it bigger. You can see it better. Right, so we did that. Modes getting are setting shared by all 3D view windows. In other words, when you change the mode of one window, any other 3D view windows change mode also. The options in this section only affect 3D viewports. They do not affect renders. Solid versus wireframe. By default, the 3D view draws objects using the solid draw type. When surfaces are opaque, to toggle between solid and wireframe draw type, edges only, no faces. For a particular viewport, activate the 3D window, press Z. Alternatively, you can choose these and other draw types from the viewport shading menu in the 3D view window header. Viewport shading, see, okay, so we actually got shading. I see. Okay, so this will probably be different here. I wonder if I can use Z here. What does that do? See, Z actually brings up this little menu. See, different type of shading. Look dev, wireframe. Interesting, wireframe, and that's just the same as these little bobbles up here. This is solid. This is look dev, and this is kind of how it would look on a render almost. That's what, with the full shading and everything. And this is rendered. This is how it looks rendered, I guess. Div rendered. I guess this has to do with the lighting. So if I take this, if I take that and I move it around, see where it's changing the lighting here? Cool. Coolly. Okay, so orthographic versus perspective. Okay. By default, viewports draw orthographic views. To toggle a viewport between orthographic and perspective views, activate the 3D view window, press num5. Now, since I do have numpad on, and I'm selected this though, what's numpad 5 do? Now this is the one thing I was talking about. See where it looks kind of wonky? And that has to do with this this thing. Clip start, clip end. See? And what the heck kind of bug is that? Some bug in my wall. Anyways, if you notice though, when I took the clip start off, how it looks like it's see-through, but when I increase the clip start now you can see it, the orthographic mode. Okay, this perspective versus orthographic setting, if you notice, these are all the lines are like parallel to each other, so that's what orthographic means. When I put it in perspective though, that's what it looks like in perspective. Okay, so completely separate from the familiar setting in the in the camera properties, the former takes effect while you're working on the model, the latter while you render. Okay. So why do you have a separate setting for 3D view? Certain aspects of modeling are easier to view on one and another. If the final render would be using perspective, then showing perspective in 3D view naturally gives you a better idea of how the final render will look. But perspective foreshortening can sometimes make it hard to ensure the model has the proper shape, which is why there's an option to switch to orthographic. Okay. Change your viewpoint, part 1. Oh, what kind of weird, freaky bug? It's on my wall. Hopefully it's not like some sort of stinging or some sort of... Anyways. As long as it stays on the wall, I am fine. Okay, so we don't have much time left in this daily. Changing your viewpoint, part 1. Each viewport has a viewpoint, which takes into account the location of the viewer in the 3D scene. There doesn't need to be an object at that location, the direction the viewer is looking, the magnification or zoom factor used. Changing your viewpoint allows you to navigate your way through a 3D scene. We'll start with 3 very basic techniques: zooming, orbiting, view rotation, perfect views. Additional techniques will be covered later in this module. Zooming. Several ways to zoom in and out. Use scroll, which is the scroll wheel. That. See, this is another thing that's kind of interesting to me. Because, let's do that. Let's do this. See, now I have absolutely no problem, like, zooming into this thing. And I don't get that because sometimes it doesn't work that way. Anyways, I like this. It's cool. Click and drag vertically with control middle mouse button. I see. That zooms it. Okay. Actually, I'm going to do shift. Actually, shift. Huh, interesting. Shift is sort of like a strafing. Oh. Oh, I see. Alt is just kind of moving it and... Where the heck? Where did everything go? That's what I'm talking about this for. See? Now we... Now it's got to back down to 1 because somehow, I don't know, it's weird. There's some weirdness. But that's okay. We won't worry about it. Use num plus to zoom in and out of small increments. So I have to make sure I'm in here so that hopefully this doesn't mess up. But in fact, right in here, we're going to do that. Plus. Why did... Sorry about that. That's my ending screen thing here. But, you know, OBS shouldn't have been taking the... dang. I need to figure out how to fix that too. Because OBS seems to be... it should only work when I'm in the window, not in the other window. So I don't get that. I'm going to have to look into that. Anyways, figure that out. Note the following limitations of Blender's zoom feature. If the viewport's in orthographic mode, Blender zooms as if looking through a telescope. You can increase the magnification, but the viewport's location doesn't change. For this reason, you cannot zoom into or through objects in orthographic mode. If the viewport's in perspective mode, Blender zooms to the center of the viewport. The viewport can pass through objects but cannot pass beyond this point no matter what you do. Zooming only gets slower and slower and slower. If the center of the viewport is somewhere you don't expect, zooming may appear to be broken. So interestingly enough, even though this is old, That's actually has happened to me before, where I'd zoom in and for some reason it would take like forever to get there. Sometimes you don't understand. Like right there, see? Let's see something here then. If that's the case, because somehow, weird. So somehow it's like you're going through it, I guess. Blender zooms to the center of the viewport. The viewport can pass through objects, but can't pass beyond this point. No matter what you do, zooming only gets slower and slower and slower. If the center of the viewport is somewhere, you don't expect zoom may appear to be broken. Okay? Alright, I get that. I understand. Orbiting and view rotation. Let's fly around the default cube, viewing it from different angles. The way you see that is really cube, centered on the origin, half above the XY plane and half below it. Let's go ahead and do new, and now click and drag them to orbit freely like that. Okay. Shift Alt scroll to rotate the viewport vertically around the center of the view. Let's see if I can do the same thing. Shift Alt scroll. And that doesn't seem to do anything on here. Okay. 2 through 8 to rotate the viewpoint vertically around the center. Okay, so in order to do that, Control Alt scroll to rotate viewport. What do you mean Control Alt scroll? Doesn't look like the scroll does anything. I mean, it does zoom in and out, but you know what I mean? Also, that's kind of funky. Alright. It's not very confusing. Don't worry. You'll learn as you get more experience. When you're finished flying around the cube, you can restore the original view by loading the factory settings. Hotkeys don't work. Center of the viewport's not marked, i.e. difficult to tell where it is. This can cause unexpected behavior during rotation. Okay, so perfect views. I guess we'll go into perfect views the next time, tomorrow, or in your case, it's going to be Monday, I think. So, yeah. So I guess we're done here for today. Come join me, I believe, Monday for your next videos when we'll go into the whole perfect views thing. Actually, what I might do is I might find the equivalents here to be able to rotate around, orbiting in view rotation, and I'll see how to do it in Blender 2.8 by looking at the manual, and then I'll show you where it's at, and I'll read it for you, and then we'll try to play around with it and figure it out. So I would like to say thank you for watching, and here, let me move this back out. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.